I was walking through the airport when my ministry first started to explode. I was so distracted by the explosion that I didn't see the damage. An old preacher was coming through the airport in Charlotte. Yeah, it just dawned on me within Charlotte as you was there. When you live in West Virginia, if you wanted to go to heaven, you either had to go through Pittsburgh or Charlotte. And I was in the Charlotte airport, and this old bishop walked up to me and he looked at me and he shook his head. He said, "Oh," he said, "you've lost something." And I thought, what that was? He said, "You've lost something that you'll never be able to regain." I said, "What is that?" He said, "Normalcy." It took me about 5 years to unpack that simple conversation. That you become a target by people who have never met you. That they would say the most hideous things about you. That your children would suffer from the things they wrote about you, trying to get their points up and their Nielsen ratings up, that they would eat you for dinner and save the story until sweeps month and drop it because you had a big audience so that they could get big ratings, and that my kids would have to grow up in the middle of all of that. I was distracted by the explosion, but I would come to see the damage. I would see it in the tears of my children, the pregnancy of my daughter, the pains of my son, holding my wife in tears. And I would hold her in tears and preach faith and go home and lay down in a bed of fear. I said, "God, where have you taken me?" I'm gonna tell you this, this will cost you, and I'm throwing it in free tonight. Tonight on Now I'm gonna tell y'all, nobody else can hear this, just us, y'all gonna keep it. I almost quit. I'm a country boy, I'm from West Virginia. I don't know nothing about this big time stuff. I never even asked to be big. I wanted to be effective, not famous. Famous is the consequences of being effective. I didn't know nothing about being famous, and I didn't like it. And so there I was, and when you're first new, everybody attacks you first and figures you out later. Because though we say you're innocent until proven guilty, the reality is you're really guilty till proven innocent. But I didn't know that then, and I was young, upstart. You have to understand that you're looking at a 60-year-old man, but you're talking about something that's happening to a guy in his late 20s with little kids. And the first time I was in the Washington Post, the article was so vicious it made me nauseous. I was so shocked that you could say that stuff about somebody you didn't even know based on assumptions and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They piece it all together, and you don't get the same thing back. So I decided I don't want this. I was preaching for Pastor Bishop Donnie Mears, and nobody knew it because preachers can override their feelings and function. I preached, the place was on fire, but inside I want to quit. I told God, I'm through with this. I'm not going through this. I don't need this. I don't need that. I'm a guy who likes to go get his own chicken wings. I don't have to have all of that stuff to be happy. Because I wasn't raised with it. I can make it. You can throw me in an apartment and give me just a little skillet, a cast iron skillet. You know what I'm talking about? And some seasoned salt and stuff and a couple of wings. I will run you out of here. I will run you out. Okay. So I thought, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this because I don't need this and I didn't ask for this. I'm only doing this because of what happened in my life, of the circumstances that happened in my life. He put me on stage. I didn't ask for it. And when I saw how much it cost, I thought, you can have that right back here. You have that right back up in there. I don't need it. So I was mad inside and I was hurt. And I stayed up in the fellowship with the pastors because I didn't want to go back to my room and sulk in my own sorrows. And they said, there's a lady downstairs waiting to see you. The service was over and the fellowship was over. The pastor was starting to leave. I was trying to outwait her. I thought she'd give up and leave. And when I finally came down the steps, she was there. And she was just a willowy bit of a woman. And she said, Bishop Jakes, she said, I've been in the hospital. She said, I was pregnant in my fallopian tubes, and the baby died in my tubes, and I was carrying around a dead baby, and the toxicity from the baby almost killed me. Wow. And she said, the only thing that kept me alive was hearing you preach. She said, if you hadn't been preaching to me every day, I swear I would have died. And then she looked at me and she said, it's for us. It's not for them. It's for us. It hit me so hard. I didn't even get her name. I got in the car and cried all the way back to my room because she reminded me why I was there. I just left. Last week when I text you, I was up in Baltimore in D.C. and I was doing a book signing. And this woman came up to the table to buy sword. She said, you don't remember me, do you? I said, no. She didn't even look like the same person. She's all dressed up, gained weight. She felt like she wants to. Wow. She said, I met you in the bottom of Donnie Mears Church years ago, and I burst into tears. I lost it. I stopped the signing, and I jumped up and hugged her. If it were not for that woman, when you talk about what it costs, I'm going to my southern stuff now. Child, simply everything. What being a public figure does to you, everybody has an opinion about everything. What you wear, whether you shave your head or not, what you look like, you gain weight, you're fat. I mean, they say anything to you. And what has to happen to survive it, you have to get tougher. Not meaner.
Tougher.